When you talk to people on the doorstep, most people these days are probably not as political as they used to be. But people who are political, they want a better future for themselves and their children. And they can't see that it's happening now. So they are looking for somebody who's going to make their lives a little bit better. I think that David will have to make some really tough choices. But I'm sure that they're a very clever bunch of people, and the Shadow Cabinet, and they will have to come up with stuff that people want to see and want to have for their families. There are certain pockets of Redditch where people vote Conservative, but there are also a lot of people voting Conservative everywhere, because they want to change. Redditch has traditionally been this sort of Labour part of Worcestershire, and we are the only part of Worcestershire now that has a full slate of Tory councillors. Everywhere else, Bromsgrove, Malvern Hills, everywhere does not have a full slate. Redditch is the only one that does. And that's because we offered something to people that they were wanted and liked. One of the reasons I'm a Conservative is because I don't want people interfering in my life, because I know best how to run my own life. And I think we've gone away a lot from that. We live in a nanny state, and that's one of the reasons that I get involved in politics too, is because I believe that people have choices, but they need to make them, and they're not making them because the state make them for them most of the time. David's a different kind of a Conservative, I think. Some of his views are probably not as you would describe, or some people describe a Conservative Party, but he knows as well as everybody else that there's going to be 35% of people in this country that probably vote Conservative come what may, and there's probably 30% or 25% of people who are going to vote Labour come what may. But the middle ground is where elections are won and lost. And those people want to talk about the environment, they want us to be family friendly, they want us to provide a decent education system for their children. And those people are looking and turning more to the Conservative Party to provide that for them. And that's what David Cameron has brought to the Conservative Party. He is a dad, and he's got a mortgage like everybody else, and unfortunately he had a son who's unfortunately died, and he's got a wife who goes to work too. They have to live in the same environment that lots of other people live in and have the same difficulties. And so I think he understands that kind of thing. And his children are educated at state school. Because he believes passionately that that's the right thing to do. He's brought with him a team of people who have got wide business experience and social experience. And they're people that actually are able to provide a sort of a whole new Britain, I think is probably right. And David Cameron, if he wins this election, should take a lot of that credit for winning that election, because he's changed the Conservative Party completely from what the Conservative Party I joined. And that's a good thing.
Can you sort of summarise how you would like Redditch to be different in 5 years' time?
The whole of Redditch. I'd like people to feel safe on their streets. I'd like people to be able to have somewhere to go to do things. Delighted. Hopefully next month we'll get a swimming pool being built here. Plan permission be given for that. I'd like young people to be able to have a proper education, an education that gives them a meaning for the rest of their lives. I'd like younger people, like little children, to be able to go to children's centres and to be able to use that kind of facility if need be. And I'd like to see the fact that we looked after, our health service was run in a way that was meaningful to the people of Redditch, and that we abolished, the most thing I'd like to see is that we abolished all these target setting, as much of it as we can, for everybody, whichever sector, public sector you're in. We let people go and do the jobs that they're paid to do, and make sure that either me or my children or my grandchildren or whatever come out more rounded people.